So when I sold my stocks to buy a 35-acre farm, I got a lot of different comments. People telling me that I was crazy, bad idea, but there was one comment on YouTube that was a lot more than some generic advice, okay? And this guy said that my chickens are gonna be torn to pieces by predators, that the maintenance on a farm is going to be a lot, and then on top of that, there is also a massive inconvenience factor when you're living out in the country. So I decided, why not make a video talking about the benefits of living here, or if it's actually better living in the city. Now, the cool thing is that I have experience, because this is my first time living out in the country, but I lived for over a decade in New York. So I know the conveniences of living in the city, and I also know a bit about the bad parts here in the country. So let's get started. So the first part of the comment was basically our chickens. They stopped laying eggs, and they're also going to be executed by a predator. So I'm gonna talk about that in a bit, because guess what? We actually had a predator, a snake, come in, and there is footage of it, and it actually took something. So more on that in just a second, okay? But a lot of people don't know that chickens do not lay eggs year around, usually, not consistently. And the main reason is because during winter time, they tend to use their energy, not for laying eggs, but for trying to keep warm. So right now, we have a couple of eggs, okay? And you guys are actually gonna be able to see it. We have 9 hens and 1 rooster. And there's one right here that was about to lay an egg, and she's there, but we have 1 egg, 5 here, and then 1 here. So that is about 7 eggs. I'm gonna close it because she wants her privacy, okay? And I want her to keep laying eggs. But our goal is to get between 7 eggs to 9 eggs every single day. And the big thing is, are we going to eat all those eggs every single day? The answer is no. So obviously, we're going to have a surplus. And with that, we can either freeze dry them, which I'm not gonna buy a $2,000 machine, so that's out the question, or we can just freeze them, pickle them, or store them in a pickle solution, which means that if we are responsible now, during the winter time, we're actually going to have eggs left over. So that's not really an issue. And we replace them every now and then, so that way we always have top production. However, there is a question. Tommy, what about the predators? And the other day, in here we have about 4, or actually 3 little hens we're actually raising up for them to take the place of some of the older hens. And the idea is that we used to have 4, and then a snake came and ate one of our hens, which is awful. And there's footage for that.
All right. So this is the most insane thing I have seen yet. So this is a snake. Looked it up on Google. Seems to be harmless, but who knows? Keeping my eye on it. And that big belly you see there, and the reason it couldn't get out is because it ate one of my baby chicks, which are in there. Well, not baby chicks. It's a pretty big chick, honestly, at this point. And it ate it, and that's what it's in there. I cannot believe it. What a surprise. And we have like these little things right here, but on the bottom down there, we did not have it.
And honestly, what we've done is, whenever we see that a predator is coming or got in, then we have to make adjustments. So we went ahead and we added some hardware cloth to the bottom, because we know that is where the snakes actually got in. So when you're living in the country, there is issues as far as like when you're going to be able to produce something, but you can always adjust. And there's issue of predators, but you can always make your stuff predator proof. The rooster's gonna get my daughter. And if you're wondering how much it actually costs us to feed our chickens, the answer is not much. It costs us about $50 a month. And they make us about 16 dozen eggs a month, which in reality would cost us more like $160. We were buying that in the supermarket. So if you guys want a video for me to show you how I actually make the chicken feed ourselves and how we make it last so long and cost so less, let me know in the comments down below and I'll get to work on that video. But it's not as expensive as most people say. Now, there's another issue he actually raised, which is the maintenance of living out in the country and how it can actually become a money pit. He spoke about plumbing, electricity, also about our driveway, and also about the trash prices going crazy high. So if you guys don't know, even if you live in the country, you can still get someone to come in and pick up your trash and all that stuff. And right now we don't pay that much, but he says the price can get a lot more expensive. But here is something that happened when I actually thought about this comment. We actually have a washer and dryer back here. And when I was actually trying to plug these things in, I noticed that the valve was actually leaking, meaning we have a problem, we need to fix it. Me living in New York for such a long time, whenever there's an issue, you call a plumber, an electrician, you don't worry about it. But when I called the plumber, they were like, hey, we can do that, $350. That is a ton of money. So all of a sudden, I went on YouTube and I actually became myself a plumber. And there are a lot of DIY men living in the country because you have to learn how to do things. So if something breaks and people can't come out here for a day or two, the answer is you want to have access to skills so you can actually do it and not go broke every time there's something that needs to be fixed. So as you can see back here, this is actually our driveway. Driveways here, they're not taken care of by the city or by some government institution. You have to maintain them yourself. And that was one of the biggest things he talked to me about, because these driveways, to actually be maintained, they need usually gravel, okay? And here is some gravel. And you have to buy this gravel, bring it here, and then basically do that whole job or have someone else do it for you, which is usually going to be more expensive. But here's the cool thing about living in the country, okay? If I don't want to spend money on gravel or fixing my road, I don't have to. There is no one telling me I have to do this, okay? So the big thing is there is no way that just because I don't have gravel, I'm not gonna be able to get in and out of the property. You have a lot more flexibility when you live here, but if you were in if you were in the city, for example, and there's something that your neighbors don't like, the city doesn't like, the HOA doesn't like, then you don't have any options. You can't just postpone it or just not do it. You have to do it. Now, when it comes to our garbage and who comes to pick it up, he did mention that because you don't have that many options, people can just raise the prices and you have to pay for it. So right now, for this one can, we pay about $35 a month. That is it, okay? They come, they pick it up once a week, and that's basically it. However, let's say tomorrow they said to me, Tommy, you're going to be paying now $500. $200, $300, and I don't like that price, okay? Well, if I lived in the city, I have no options. I saw when I was in Puerto Rico, there was a hurricane that happened and people had no access to somebody picking up the trash. And you saw a whole bunch of people with garbage in front of their houses with a whole bunch of worms and just disgusting. But here in the country, if they do that, what I can do is just grab everything that's basically like food type thing and do compost with it. And all the plastic stuff, I could just grab it and take it to a public place, or there's 35 acres here, you know? So you do have a lot more flexibility than you would living in the country. Living in the urban area, because that's when, if they change the prices, you got no option. You gotta pay it, because where are you gonna take it? Now, one of the biggest issues that we hear about all the time is your commute and trying to go to Walmart or to the city to do anything. It's so far away. Well, in reality, guys, here specifically in the country, our closest Walmart is about 15 to 20 minutes away. But there is one catch. There's never any traffic. Never see traffic here. And one big thing is, guys, I've noticed that everyone kind of says, you know, you want convenience. And I wanted the same thing when I actually used to live in the Bronx, because I got spoiled. Everything was super close and I could just walk there. However, it was also very expensive. And here specifically, I don't really see the benefit in having things so close, because I also don't want to be dependent on Walmart for my food or some store for this reason or that reason. So we took a lot of inspiration from one of our friends, because she's a stay-at-home mom. And what she does is once a month, she goes to the city to actually pick up all the things she needs. And that way she doesn't have to keep going in and keep going out. So that's one big thing we do. We try to buy all the things we need so we don't have to constantly go to Walmart or go to some store. Being at a store 24/7 is not a benefit. It is not a pro. And I'm not willing to pay a whole bunch of money just to be close to a store. It sounds like convenience, but in reality, a lot of people are just dependent on stores these days, and we don't want to be dependent on them. So whenever we're going outside, it's either to do something we want to do or like to do, but we don't need to be close to anything for the most part. So in the end, I am in complete agreement with Jonathan's comment, because he mentioned all that stuff, but he said, I still prefer to live in the country instead of living in some city. And the truth is that it may sound like living in the city is a lot more beneficial, but in reality, when you think about it, you have more convenience, but people don't know how to do a thing. All people usually have is money, and if worse comes to worse and you can't buy something, then you're out of luck because you have no way to actually get it. At least when you're living here in the country, you can have chickens, right? You can have animals to feed your family. You can plant a garden. And even when you have things to fix, at least you can say, I'll get to it later. But if you're in an HOA, for example, and they tell you, you got to mow your lawn this way. Look at this, okay? Our lawn has not been mowed yet, okay? No one's coming out here to tell us to mow our lawn. We have to do it, and we'll do it when we get to it, okay? But this is 10 times more preferable in my opinion. But that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Would you rather live somewhere like this in the country, or would you rather live in the city? Good boy. Good boy. Look at him. Look at him. Good boy. Look at that boy. Oh, wow. Mira, viene el otro, viene el otro.